What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. This is Legitical Response. We cover political news, keep you up to date, and keep you informed with everything that the government does, or at least almost everything, right? We also put the mainstream news through the logic test. We love to do that around here because a lot of times they like to lie, they like to twist stuff around. So that's what we do around here, you know? We kind of run these stories and then work them through logically. And I give my opinion at the same time. And some people disagree with that opinion, and some people do agree with that opinion. But I always ask that everybody go ahead and let me know what you think down in the comments section, because I love hearing from you guys. It's great. I love going back and forth with y'all. We can get our ideas across that way. It's good to have honest discourse like that, and I am all about that here. So if you want to have some discourse with somebody, please let me know what you think down in the comments section. Now, we have got a bunch of stuff going on. We got the election is ramping up. You know, it's coming up in November. So, yeah, the Democrats are going all out because they're losing badly in the polls. So they have to do every single thing they can, right? So here we go with the hoaxes again. It started back in the day, you know, for the 2020 election. We had a bunch of hoaxes. We had hoaxes from 2016. Ever since Trump came down that damn elevator, they've been going after Trump with hoaxes. The Russia hoax, for one. There's been all kinds. You know, we had the bloodbath hoax come out. Now we have another one where they're claiming Trump is calling, you know, criminal aliens animals. No, he's calling the murderer of Laken Riley an animal. To be factual about that, that's what he was talking about. But they don't do that. They love to clip things. But see, it's dumb to do in this day and age. Yeah, you'll have the Trump deranged section of our population that will just take that and run with it. However, you know, it's easily debunked these days. In other words, you can just go on to X and see that, oh, okay, he was talking about that specific guy. Yeah, oh no, he was talking about a bloodbath economically. Right. So Trump says a lot of things and people take it out of context and just run with it, and it's BS. But that's not even what we're talking about today. I just wanted to get that off my chest right quick because, yeah, that hoax is flying around, you guys. So let's get into the story right quick because, you know, this is an update. Check it. Prosecutors in Trump's classified documents case chide judge over her fundamentally flawed order. You like how they phrase that, huh? Chide. Whatever that means, right? I didn't even bother to go look it up because I really don't even care what chide means. We all have an idea of what that means considering the context of that opening statement. But let's get into it. Federal prosecutors chided the judge presiding over former U.S. President Donald Trump's classified documents case in Florida, warning her of potential jury instructions that they said rest on a fundamentally flawed legal premise. In an unusual order, U.S. District Judge Eileen Cannon asked prosecutors and defense lawyers to file proposed jury instructions for most of the charges, even though it remains unclear when the case might reach trial. She asked the lawyers to respond to competing interpretations of the law that appeared to accept the Republican ex-president's argument that he was entitled under a statute known as the Presidential Records Act to retain sensitive documents he is now charged with possessing. Right? Well, that's what court is supposed to be for. One side brings an argument, the other side brings an argument, and the judge is like, you know, bring your arguments together, and then we're going to go off of those arguments. We're going to decide upon that. So what the hell? Yeah. Ask the lawyers to respond to competing interpretations of the law that appeared to accept the Republican ex-president's argument that he was entitled under the statute known as the presidential. Yeah, that's how you argue your case. You think under that interpretation that that's how it is, you listen to their argument, then you decide if that interpretation is correct or not. You just love how the mainstream narrative machine will twist stuff around to make you think that her interpretation, that she's just going with that's what she wants to do, and no other argument. No, she's asking for the arguments. The order surprised legal experts and alarmed special counsel Jack Smith's team, which said in a filing late Tuesday that 1978 law, which requires presidents to return presidential records to the government upon leaving office but permits them to retain purely personal ones, has no relevance in a case concerning highly classified documents. No, that is not necessarily true. Yes, it does say that, but it also gives the president plenary power to classify any documents he wants for the most part, except when it comes to nuclear secrets and stuff like that. Of course, you don't want that stuff getting out, which he didn't have any of those such documents, by the way. But they leave that part out, that it does say that, yes, he can take home this set of classified documents that has to do with Crossfire Hurricane. Yeah, he wanted those classified documents, of course. Those records, prosecutors said, were clearly not personal, and there is no evidence Trump ever designated them as such. Listen to this. They said that the suggestion he did so was invented only after it became public that he had taken them with him to his Mar-a-Lago estate in Palm Beach, Florida after his presidency, boxes of records from the White House, and that none of the witnesses they interviewed in the investigation support his argument. You know what? That goes based upon the assumption that he has to tell everybody that, hey, I'm classifying these as such so I can bring them home. He doesn't have to do that. Once again, the mainstream narrative machine trying to twist stuff around to make Trump look bad and make special counsel Jack Weiss look like he's prosecuting an actual court case that is relevant. This just still blows my mind that they are still going through with charging Donald Trump with taking these classified documents under the Presidential Records Act. And they're not going after Joe Biden for stealing classified documents and then sharing those classified documents with his ghostwriter, and he wasn't supposed to. He even said that in an audio file. He knows that we could get in trouble for this. But they said, oh, no, we're not going to prosecute because he's old. He's a doddering old man, and he has a bad memory, and a jury wouldn't convict him anyway. Well, like I said in a video before, that's not up to a jury. That's not up to a prosecutor's interpretation what a jury is going to think. You present your case to the jury, and they decide. You don't decide what the jury's going to decide. That makes no sense. That would make the entire judicial system irrelevant. I know what you're screaming, prosecutorial discretion. But when you have the evidence, you have the crime, you have him admitting to the crime, you have proof, you have the smoking gun. It's all laid out right there, and then you're going to decide not to prosecute? No, that's dereliction of duty, and you can be removed for that. And I know what the left is screaming, oh, well, the guy was a Republican. Robert Hur was a Republican. Yeah, no, he works for the establishment. Republican, Democrat, doesn't matter. We know that there's buttloads of bad Republicans out there, just like just about the entirety of the Democrat Party politicians is bad politicians. Almost all politicians are bad. Let's keep going, though. Not a single one had heard Trump say that he was designating records as personal, or that at the time he caused the transfer of boxes to Mar-a-Lago, he believed that his removal of records amounted to designating them as personal under the PRA, prosecutors wrote. To the contrary, every witness who was asked this question had never heard such a thing. And that's totally irrelevant, like I said before. He doesn't have to tell his staffers what he's doing. He doesn't have to do any of that. If he wants those documents, he can take those documents. He has that plenary power to do that, as they say. Smith's team said that if the judge insists on citing the presidential records law in her jury instructions, she should let the lawyers know as soon as possible so they can appeal. The filing reflects continued exasperation by prosecutors at Cannon's handling of the case. It sounds like, to me, that they're just pissed off because she's trying to look at it somewhat objectively. She's not just giving in to all their demands, because she's not. But she's also sided with Jack Smith on several motions that Trump has filed. He's filed to just throw the whole case out. outright. And she hasn't done that. She's going to go ahead and bring it to trial. Of course, they're waiting on the Supreme Court to decide presidential immunity. I believe that one's on hold for that reason. I could be wrong. Let me know down in the comments if I am wrong on that, because like I said, I'm human. I do get stuff wrong, and I do apologize when I make mistakes, and I will correct my opinions accordingly. The Trump-appointed judge has yet to rule on multiple defense motions to dismiss the case, as well as other disagreements between the two sides, and the trial date remains in flux, suggesting that a prosecution that Smith's team has said features overwhelming evidence could remain unresolved by the time of the November presidential election. Oh, that's what it is. They just want this to hurry up so they can go ahead and convict Donald Trump before the election. Yeah, that's all they're wanting to do. They're wanting so badly to get that conviction on Donald Trump because they think it's going to hurt his chances to become president again. But, they got another thing coming. That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen whatsoever. You can't not be president again because you took home some classified documents that you were totally and legally have the right to take home as president of the United States. Correct me if I'm wrong. Cannon, who earlier faced blistering criticism over her decision to grant Trump's request for an independent arbiter to review documents obtained during an FBI search of Mar-a-Lago, heard arguments last month on two of Trump's motions to dismiss the case, that the Presidential Records Act permitted him to designate the documents as personal, and that he was therefore permitted to retain them. Yeah, if you go look up the Presidential Records Act, it does state that in those. I had to go read that, and it's long-winded for sure, and it's kind of hard to get through, but it does state that. It states all kinds of stuff. It's a lot more expansive than I thought it was going to be. Yeah, there's all kinds of little provisions in there that you can't do this, you can't do that, but none of it pertained. It also ultimately said that the president has the power to take home whatever documents unless it pertains to nuclear secrets, things of that nature. There was a couple other things, but I recall issues. I can't recall everything from it, but he has that right, and they're basing this off the premise that he doesn't have that right. They're using a certain interpretation, right, which is what most court cases are about for the most part anyway, and stuff like this. It's their interpretation of what the law is, right? Different people have different interpretations. That's why we have the Supreme Court and appeals courts and all this other stuff, because you have a judge will make a decision, then somebody's like, well, no, that's the wrong interpretation. Then guess what? It goes to appeals court, and appeals court might overturn that. It happens all the freaking time. So everybody doesn't agree on the exact interpretations of how the law is, which is weird because they word these things very, very specifically. So it kind of makes you wonder, why are they trying to interpret these things in a different way when it's pretty much very specific? But yeah, that's just the legal mumbo jumbo. It can be very confusing to read and go through some of that stuff. So, I can kind of see it, but I guess some things are, up to interpretation and other things aren't. The judge appeared skeptical of that position but did not immediately rule. Days later, she asked the two sides to craft a jury instruction that responded to the following premise: a president has sole authority under the PRA to categorize records as personal or presidential during his/her presidency. Neither a court nor a jury is permitted to make or review such a categorization decision. Yes, and that is based upon, if you read out the Presidential Records Act, like I said a few minutes ago, it does state that in the Presidential Records Act that he can classify anything he wants to as personal and take that with him, except for a very few specific type of documents. And obviously, if the judge is ruling in this way, he didn't take those specific type of documents. However, David Weiss is trying to say otherwise. Not David Weiss, I'm sorry, Jack Smith. Apologize. An outgoing president's decision to exclude personal records from those returned to the government, she continued, constitutes a president's categorization of those records as personal under the PRA. That interpretation of the law is wrong, prosecutors said. They also urged Cannon to move quickly in rejecting the defense motion to dismiss. They're going to tell the judge she's wrong, even though she is obviously a lawyer. She is the judge. They're going to tell her she's wrong. She might be wrong. But like I said just now, I read that out too. I'm not a law expert by any means. That's what I got from reading out the Presidential Records Act, because I wanted to make sure I had my P's and Q's crossed and dotted, if you will, before I came in here to talk about this. Because by God, if the president didn't have that power, then holy crap, yeah, the prosecutors do have a case, and Trump shouldn't have brought those documents home. However, the Presidential Records Act, the PRA, does say that the president can classify whatever documents, like I'll say it again, whatever documents that he wants to. Go read it yourself. I don't have time to bring it up and read it all out right here. I have trouble retaining my viewers, all the way through the video, but hey, that's understandable. I totally get that. You might not want to sit through my rambling and ranting and raving about, you're not going to get everybody. But I read it out. That's my interpretation as well. The fact that Jack Smith's coming to a different interpretation after what I read blows my mind. But that just goes to show you how skewed some of these people are and how much they just want to prosecute Trump so stinking bad that they'll just go to any means to do so, right? But this is what happens when Joe Biden tells Merrick Garland to prosecute Trump. So now Merrick Garland has to find something to prosecute Trump on, right? They're already going after him. Jack Smith's other case for January 6th. He was already acquitted of insurrection on January 6th. So there should be some kind of double jeopardy brought into that. Let me know what you think down in the comment section, because the impeachment and then acquittal by the Congress and Senate equates to an indictment and a trial. It's the same thing. It's essentially the process of indicting and prosecuting a political figure. It's not the exact same, but it's the way you go after people who have political immunity like a president does. Because politicians can commit crimes that might not be crime for a normal citizen, but is a crime for a politician. So they have that process worked out. And it's also there so no one politician gains too much power or can just do anything they want to do. But y'all let me know what y'all think about all this down in the comments section, because, I've gone back and forth on this one. Sure, it's a political persecution, but, when this first came out, I was looking at it like, okay, I still see it as a political persecution. However, they do have the right to bring this case to court. I don't think he'll be found guilty of this by any means, because you look at the case. But now that we keep getting deeper and deeper into this thing, my mind has been changed because, I've read the PRA. I know what it says, right? I would suggest you guys, if you want to look into this a little bit deeper, go read that document. It's a little bit rough to get through. It takes about 20 minutes to get through the whole thing, but it's right there on Wikipedia. I would suggest go read it, check it out, then come back over here and comment and let me know what you think about this whole case and what Jack Smith is doing. And if you think it's wrong, or if you think, yeah, they should bring this case and prosecute Trump on this one. Let me know what you think down in the comment section. That's all I got for this one, you guys. I want to thank everybody for watching. You guys rock, especially if you made it to the end of the video. You hold a dear place in my heart. Thanks a lot, y'all. And y'all try to have a good day and stay legitical. Peace.